Continue with 30 big blinds. We're going to open raise fairly tight, and yeah, the yellow hands are the hands we're calling against 3 bets, and few exceptions here against cutoff to big blind. So queen jack suited, ace 9 suited, we're also calling against cutoff to big blind, and jack 10 suited, ace 4 suited we are calling additionally against button and only against button, because it doesn't say big blind or small blind, so we're only calling against button. And I can also tell you for 30 or 40 big blinds, as you have seen earlier, against small blind we defend the tightest very often. So here these are the hands I would be calling against UTG, MP, and against small blinds. Small blind. Additionally, these are the hands we're calling cutoff, small blind, and big blind, and this ace 4 suited and jack 10 suited only against button as well, but would be a fold against small blind. All right. Otherwise, it would say button plus small blind. UTG +1 here. Same spiel. We have a few hands we additionally call against big blind, but other than that, and a few, ace 4 suited, a hand that also additionally wants, besides defending against cutoff, also sometimes wants to defend against big blind, and a few combos of 9-8 suited wants to defend against cutoff and button, and these two hands calling against the big blind. Nothing so spectacular here. Of course, you need to make the proper adjustments. You might already be sick of hearing that, but I rather want you to be annoyed of me saying that, because then I know you will incorporate it. If you're fucking annoyed by me saying that, I am glad, because I know you're going to do the right thing in game, and that's what I want for you. I don't want you to like me or hear what you want to hear or be super excited or find me funny. I want you to do the right thing in game and to win, and that makes me happy. So I'm actually selfish because I'm going to be happy when you're going to be winning, and I don't care if you find me funny or boring or annoying or whatever, but that's important, and we want to make money here and not yeah to be entertaining or to be funny or whatever. So yeah, also here now nines and ace queen plus. I mean, from under the gun, it's with 30 big blinds. It's literally whatever, whatever kind of position. It will never be a big mistake to 4-bit jam with these kind of hands. MP. We are defending those hands. King 9 suited, we're additionally defending against the big blind 3-bet. And these light green, little darker green hands we're defending against button. This is our call versus small blind range, and also call versus hijack cutoff. You don't see any other descriptions, only for big blind button, so you know this is my range, the range we're calling against hijack, against cutoff, and small blind. All right. What you need to consider now is, and now you might be asking, but Ben, now we're defending so little against 3-bets. Before we defended 25-30%, and now we're folding 40%, almost 45% against certain positions. Well, it's simply because now it's just much more profitable to 4-bit jam more hands. That means our opponents' 3-betting ranges are supposed to not only to be tighter, but also in terms of the frequencies. Because they also want to be mixing in some aces and kings as a trap, and still want to be flatting with ace queen, especially when we open raise from UTGMP. So their value range isn't that wide. And also they should be start flatting with king jack suited or queen jack suited, which would be reasonable 3 bluffs. So all in all, their frequency is supposed to go a little bit down. I mean, we can check it out here with 30 big blinds flatting, 3-betting, let's say, And also there's a ton of shoving going on, right? So ace queen, ace king off is very often a shove. So you don't have those hands in your three betting range anymore. So it's that the ranges are way more polarized and very high equity hands, namely these premium hands. And then only a few ace eights, king nines suited. And since most of the bluffs are suited, it's not that many combos. So you can't really defend with 10-9 suited or Jack 10 suited or Queen 10 suited that comfortable anymore, regardless of being in position or out of position. Let's take MP versus UTG here. All right. So you see it's tens, jacks, queens, kings. I mean, of course, here in position it's ace king. And then queen, jack suited, king, 10 suited ace. So it's just so strong. And yeah, you don't really want to be defending that wide. And even jack 10 suited, queen 10 suited, that it's not even performing well against the bluffs. Let's see how it is for 40 big blinds. You can see the range is much weaker here. You have ace 8 suited, jack 10 suited, king 10 suited, ace jacks offs, and then already these pairs are performing much better, and king jack suited performs much better, and ace 9 suited performs much better. And then it's already a different story because there are way more of these hands in our opponent's range. And the ray range doesn't really change that much, right? And this makes the difference here for 40 bigs, sorry. Yeah, so this was, just to make sure I was showing the right ranges, 40 bigs. Yeah. So let's go back to 30 bigs for UTG, and here we're not defending jack 10 suited. We're only defending it against button a little bit, and we're not even defending it against small blind. And small blind we're folding because it's not going to be displayed here. UTG +2. I mean, we can compare it with 40 big blinds UTG +2. You see you're defending way more. I mean, not way more, but a little bit more, which is, yeah, we're not defending queen 10 suited, we're not defending king 9 suited. And with 40 bigs, we're defending queen 9 suited. And we also more often defend queen 9, jack 9, 10 9 suited. It simply has to do with the composition of our opponent's 3-bet range. So with 30 bigs, and that's why it is so important, and I'm preaching that over and over again. As you have just seen when I was showing you the 3-betting ranges from MP versus UTG, how it changed between 30 and 40 bigs, it was just a few more suited combinations of 10-9 suited, jack-9 suited, jack-10 suited that was bluffing, that allows us to call more often queen 10 suited, king 10 suited, king 9 suited for 40 bigs against UTG, right? Or now with UTG +2, we would be defending 10-9 suited, jack-9, queen 9, king 9 suited way more often than we would do with from under the gun, and with 40 bigs. But here we're simply folding it. 9-8 suited, we then that's actually funny because 9-8 suited of course has less raw equity, but since our opponent's bluffing range is so Broadway heavy, this hand actually performs much better than, for example, queen 10 suited out of position. What else do we have? Yeah, we mix in some calls. Sorry, king queen offs and a7 suited as call against button. But as you can see, since we only call 50% of the time, it's very, very close. Here 5-5 is a little exceptional. It's a fold versus button, otherwise we call. UTG +2 versus button, we always call ace-4 suited, but only 50% versus cutoff, so keep that in mind. MP, yeah, as you have just seen for 40 bigs, we defend queen 9 suited, jack 9 suited, 10-9 suited, and we are not defending it with 30 big blinds. And very, very interesting to see is that Jack 10 suited is a call against button, cutoff, hijack, and big blind, but it's a fold against the small blind. Why? Because small blind's range is now also more polarized, it has less bluffs, and we're not really being able to take advantage of our equity utilization, our positional advantage. So Jack 10 suited, 30 big blinds, MP versus small blind is a very easy fold. It's not even close. Yeah, okay, I mean, this is pretty obvious. I think I'm gonna take that out. I'm gonna take that out as well, because it's not very relevant. Hijack, even from hijack, we only call 50% against small blind. Force, we call against small blind. Here, the reason why we start calling these pairs is remember that equity utilization now is not as important as it is with deeper stacks anymore. For us as an in-position player, for the out-of-position player, it actually becomes more important because he's realizing more equity since we're so short. And that means that we want to be looking for hands that have more raw equity. And a pair against all their broadways we're flipping against, they have simply more equity. These are the hands we're calling against button. These are the hands we additionally call against big blind. But the same here, if I think the button is just a nit, then I would be folding 5s, 6s, and 7s for sure. And I would probably just go with my yellow. And also king, queen off, I would be folding, or ace, jack off. Cutoff. Yeah, we're opening 35% of hands. Against button, we call these orange hands. Same spiel here again. We call more out of position than we do out of in position. This is our range, the range we call against the blinds. And we call a few more hands addition against the big blind. So we call very, very tight against the small blind. Why? Because his range is strong, the sizing is bigger, and we're not really going to be able to leverage the positional advantage we have given the short stack size. This is something you need to incorporate in your game. Button, we're actually folding around 50% of hands. That's quite okay, I think. And then if you're not really sure whether your opponent is aggressive enough, just call 5s or 6s. But I think against the majority of the players, also on low stakes and mid stakes, I would advise to jam. King, queen off, ace, jack off, same. It's something you should make really player dependent. If you're not really sure, especially with king, queen off, ace, jack off, it always plays well in position, and then just jam the pairs. But yeah, it's never going to be a big punt, to be honest. Small blind. Now, since our opponent can start reshoving on us in comparison to the 40 big blind ranges, we want to raise a little bit more polarized and also start limping more hands that would be a waste of equity to raise fold with. So let's say queen 10 suited, queen 9 suited, king 8 suited, ace 6 suited or ace 5 suited or 9 8 suited that can't really stand an all in. And also, yeah, of course we would be able to call it 3-bet, but just facing a jam from these pairs like deuces, 3s, 4s, 5s, and we constantly fold 50% of equity, even against his king queens, king jacks that might be reshoving, and even against the pairs 10s, 9s, we still have good equity. It would be way too much equity to raise fold. So now with a bunch of hands, we have the incentive to just limp, protect our equities, play post flop. Of course, mix in a lot of raises. We have these hands we're playing limp broke. So usually it would be limp shoving. I don't really see any reason to limp 3-bet. So yeah, we limp shove and go broke. These would be the hands that we call a 3-bet with, but we would be folding to an all-in. Apart from eights, I make also a note, but I think it's, I mean, king jack suited probably in king queen off also in theory, but I think I would always be raise folding since I don't expect people reshoving queen 10 suited or king 9 suited. I think most players just call. And if the range consists of, let's say, ace x and pairs, we don't get the odds to raise call with king queen. King queen suited is a little different. It's just too strong. I think we get the odds. But king queen off and king jack suited is, I think, a little too weak. All right, so that's it for 30 big blinds.